Welcome back to Mega Man 04. Last time we began the game and we met the 8-eyed Harrier warriors, all in the same room. It was a little worrying there for a sec. But we're back to it, and we're going to go warn the humans about the impending disaster. But first, we have to check in with Servo, because yes, this game does have crafting, that's what the enemy parts are for. I have nothing useful right now, so we'll save that for later. All I can make is junk, and as you might imagine, not super useful to me. But the main thing we need to do before heading off to camp is we need to speak with Alouette, because as we've been told, she's been taking care of an elf. Just one elf. Which is very important. So she's come up with a name for it, it's Qua? I'm not pronouncing that French enough, but I don't think my mic would like it if I use the amount of back of the throat needed for that. So, I'm saying yes to this name, because it's Alouette, she likes naming things, she's very good at it. Who am I to say no to her? Now that being said, I'll discuss this in a little bit, but you can actually say no, and while you cannot freely name the elf, there are other names for it. So no, you're not allowed to just name it Butt or something. But it is one elf that will be all our elves for the game. It works a little bit differently. Using too much will not kill the elf, but it will still dock you points, but nonetheless that is very important. So yeah, the elf has a level, and you cannot use a number of abilities above that level. As you might imagine, for the runs I've been doing for the Zero games, I do not need the nurse category, so that frees up a lot of points for me. At the moment, we're not allowed to use any elf whatsoever, or we're docked points. Also, we have no abilities. So, let's see. Yeah, she's just gonna... I like how helpful Alouette's trying to be. She has to read from the manual, but otherwise she's pretty confident of herself. So yeah, this is the elf screen. We can talk to the elf, but she just makes baby noises. We have no traits to check. We can, however, evolve Qua. And now she has her first level trait of everything. So, drops life energy, increases running speed, fires 4 bullets in a row. So yeah, animal and hacker attributes are pretty useful from the word go, but again, if I use anything, I simply cannot get points. I will be docked points for doing that. But yeah, that's incredibly cool. I love that we just get one elf. Yeah, here's me just looking at that wistfully like, yeah, see, total level over 1. My max is 0, so I can't use anything just yet. Alright, so yeah, do you have anything new to say? Okay, yeah, now we can use the weather changer. We'll see that in just a moment, but first, we were told that we should try to warn the humans. Alright, so, the Area 0 settlement. Yeah, they're, not big fans of Reploids. We already know this, but maybe they'll be a little more reasonable because we are just trying to help. We're not gonna get too involved, this is just a warning. I guess maybe CL should have led this from the start. I mean, look, Zero's trustworthy when you get to know him. He's very intimidating if you just meet him. You know, kinda out of nowhere. When you don't like Reploids anyway. And yeah, the humans are pretty sure that the wars are the Reploids' fault. Nobody remembers Repliforce at this point, And they extremely do not remember the fact that, Repliforce just wanted to help and then they were blamed for an incident. Again, good that the intro does clarify that, yeah, the humans just kinda sat back while Reploids fought over their own lives. Because if you weren't overly familiar with the series, you'd be like, oh, well, why are they blaming us so much? But it is because they are in the wrong. They do not have a particularly good view of history. As you might imagine, or, you know, I can only guess, Neo Arcadia's education is probably very biased. I mean, in fairness, it probably was pretty good about X, though, right? He was their leader, even if it was a copy of him, so clearly they would have really tried to put X over in the history books. He got through the entire series on his own, and he was so cool, and he never stopped fighting because he got, like, aggressively non-combative. Combatively non-combative. History books really gloss over X7. It might make Master X look bad, and we don't want to explain Axel. Look, we've only got 2 chapters for this. We're not including Axel, we're just gonna shove him under the carpet. Anyway, we can actually access any of the 8 stages that we want to. It's not a 4 and 4 situation like the previous games have been. Well, 0-1 was weird, but you get the point. So yes, each and every one of these has its own weather condition. One is advantageous for the boss and their minions, the other does make the stage easier. Part of the rank is to go for the worst weather condition for us. Not only that, they also get new attacks, i.e. their EX attack, if the weather condition favors them. And as per usual, if they have their EX attack, that means we learn the EX attack, so you don't need to maintain a good rank to see these, you just need to play the slightly harder version of the stage. I've got feelings about this, but for now, let's play the stage that I feel like was fitting after the beginning of this week. It was really, really hot, is the thing. Thankfully it cooled down, but nonetheless, it was real bad early on. So yeah, basically, stay in the shade or die. Which again, is kind of my motto during summertime. This is very fitting. We can make this a little easier if we destroy certain things throughout the stage. And of course, if the stage is cloudy, then your gauge will rise a lot slower than this. It starts very quickly. This is actually pretty dangerous to deal with. You need to know what you're doing and make very decisive movements, or you're going to be taking damage. Once you hit 100, you really just need to get into the shade, or yeah, you're not gonna be lasting for very long, especially if this is your first stage, which, yeah, it is for me. Alright, so, in regards to the other elf names, if you say no to Alouette, you can go to the other NPCs around your camp, and they'll give you different names. Ciel's is Charity, which is charity. Rouge is variable. You should know that word. Servo's name is Progress. You should also know that one. Falcon's name is Recrut, which is recruits. And Hirondel's name is Nouvelle, which means new. Now, there are actually slight differences in each and every name that you get. I don't think there's anything that really puts any particular name over, so, if you want to be a little bit rude to Alouette, you can go for a different name and maybe get a slightly different effect. The default one is not going to be useful for me at all. It basically increases the drop rate for Nurse Level 1 and also Level 6. As for the other names, Charity will actually raise animals 3, 4, and 5, the damage output of those by 1 point. Variable will increase animals level 5 damage by 2 points. Progress will raise animal level 4 by 2 points. Recrue will raise animal 3 by 2 points. And Nouvelle will increase Hacker level 2 by 3 points. I'm being very vague because we don't know what those effects are. We've got level 1 and that's it, and we can't even use any of those just yet. So real quick, this is the mini-boss. One of my major complaints about this game is I think the mini-bosses take way too long. They are more or less the main issue I have with time bonus in this game. Not only that, a lot of them also have drops, or they have like little enemies that have drops. Mini-bosses themselves don't give you anything, but yeah, they have tiny little guys who could very well drop something, so you need to get lucky. Otherwise, you'll have to be coming back to stages. That's right, this game's got grinding! Fun. Also, yeah, if you don't hit this guy a lot before you destroy those little things, prepare to do this a whole bunch. Don't worry, it's practice for a later boss that sucks a lot more than this, actually. Anyway though, right, so, we've gone through the names of our new Cyber Elf, but, in terms of story, I mean, first off, in terms of gameplay, that's just pretty cool. I like how it's just kinda set to, here's one Cyber Elf, do with it what you will, there are limitations, you will, take the usual penalty for using them, but nobody has to die for that to happen. And yeah, that goes back into story. In the previous game we had the Satellite Elves, and I definitely praise that as kind of a really good go-between, in that not only did we have a gameplay improvement that was definitely friendlier towards the player, but it also just made the world better. Like, we don't know a lot about the Cyber Elves, but we do know that they are kind of used for power. You use them and they die, and you get better, and that's kind of a cruelty, but a necessity, unfortunately. Except in 3, not so much! You were allowed to use some Cyber Elves, without penalty or without them dying. And now it's progressed to the point where we get one Cyber Elf that does not die. Presumably you can strain it a bit by overexerting it, but nonetheless, you can't kill it. Which I just think is really cool. I think that's just another example of the world's getting slightly better, even if, the unfortunate bit is that, yeah, Vile's in charge, he's currently running a dictatorship, but that doesn't have to be the only thing. Stuff sucks, but Ciel has been making improvements, and Alouette's also there kind of at the forefront helping the Cyber Elves as well. I don't know how much of the sciencey bits she does, but I think her affection and willingness to help the Cyber Elves is definitely significant. Anyway, here's this jerk. She says kya ha ha ha, but really she should be doing an oh ho 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 laugh. That's kind of the design they're going for her. And of course, here's a female character who isn't Ciel, or the rest of the Resistance. They really want to murder you. I guess that's most of the bosses in this series, but given the Leviathan and the 2 female Reploids in this game, it feels significant. So anyway, yeah, she's got these little disc attacks. She's got a variation of it. This is the kind of pink version. They move like this. She's also got a blue version. They move like this. I think this one's way easier to dodge, honestly, but she's also got a Spirit Bomb. And hey, she's not even using her other attack that really is kind of annoying to get through, in which she places 3 bombs in the field, and they basically explode, releasing 2 arcing shots to the sides of them. They take up a lot of space, which in this fight is definitely a pain to deal with, on account of, yeah, her room does have patches of sunlight in them, so yeah, if you haven't destroyed the machines in this stage, this battle actually does get pretty difficult. She is very clearly a zoning boss, and oh my god, look at that clear time. It's so bad. Ugh. Anyway, we beat Soul Titanian. She's great. We get Burning Shot from her. It's a very straightforward attack. It's just a buster with a fire attribute. It kind of explodes in contact with the enemy. More on that and elements in general later on. For now, though, very sweaty, but otherwise fine. So, hey, remember when I said grinding? Yeah, we're gonna activate our EX skill. And we're gonna go right back in there, after, of course, applying increased running speed. Alright, well, put me back in, coach. I don't want to go, but I'll have to anyway. There's also no separate teleport option, you're just taking the same screen, and if the little icon isn't swirling, that means the stage is clear. So we're actually going to go here with the cloudy weather in effect, which actually does change what the stage looks like a fair bit. So yeah, I'm not gonna show off too much of this because it is grinding. However, yeah, the stage actually has a different look to it. You can see the background's actually overcast. I think that's really cool. I love that attention to detail, and it really sucks that the game encourages you to play exactly one way throughout the game. Cause yeah, I do like that they have different looks for the stage depending on which attribute it is. Anyway, this is the part where I grind for a bit. I'm gonna skip most of this, however, if you've played the game before, I would like to make note, there is a very handy parts guide on Reddit. Somebody basically just made everything you can make in the game, barring earlier versions of certain chips, because some do actually have a particular level, so, you know, there's one with a basic effect and they get stronger down the line. There's not too many of those, but it doesn't list them, so you'll only get the strongest version of each chip if that applies. But yeah, it will basically just give you each part you need, and all of the stages that you can get those parts from, and also whether or not those stages can be revisited. For the most part, there's no missable items in this game, save for exactly one. We'll get to that when we get to that, but yeah, you can find things in, you know, a stage at least. It'll mark the stages you can't go to again in red. The reason I say that it's for people who've played the game before is it does actually show the boss's icon next to the stage name, and that is, of course, potential spoilers, so I would advise against using that on your first go-around, but it is absolutely very helpful if you do know the game, and you just need the parts. There's just a regular walkthrough that also lists the parts, just, I find the very well put together list with names of stages and the pictures of the bosses is just better to look at. It's a good graph, I'd highly recommend it. Anyway though, yeah, I'm skipping ahead because I don't want to... I don't want to show the full grinding session, are you kidding me? Yes, we do have to fight the mini-boss again. Alright, so I take a quick check over the items that I did get, the parts that I got, and we're good to go. And also, here's rare footage of me actually taking damage in a Zero game. In case you were wondering, yes, I did get very bored of doing this. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the secret discs in the other games, or the Cyber Elf drops, but man, I don't like the parts either. I'm not really a big fan of this, and yeah, next is 300 crystals, so... It'll be a little bit before we can get stage 3, but here's the level 2 effects. For vitality, slow down while sliding, and press up for rising slash. Also, if you're wondering if these build over time, no, they don't. Although there's a lot of overlap for the nurse elves, of course. You know, once you have level 3, you don't really need level 2, because it's just health increases, but yeah, I think I actually would prefer to stick to faster running for the time being. Anyway though, that'll do it for Mega Man 04 today. See you next time for the OC that somebody drew in the margins of their notebook. First, of course, though, we're also getting boss deaths, because I mean, really, the Soul Titanian deserves a win. I mean, no she doesn't, she's terrible, but, you know. I support women's wrongs. Even when those wrongs involve burning you to death with the light of the sun.